So the title is Formulae are for Textbooks, and you get it what I'm saying as I go along. Like I said, I'm not talking about any area of expertise. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about what you already know. And why I am talking about what you already know is because when we know many things, right? We know many things, but at crunch time, we only remember what is sensational, right? So if we remember only what is sensational, it suppresses the other things, the other knowledge. And so I'm going to spend some time talking what you know also of this other knowledge. When I said crunch time, I have students out here. What is the most famous crunch time for any student? It's an exam. So for an exam, what would you do? The only thing that we thought about was study all night or almost all night. But one thing that we also know is sleep is also a study tool. But what is sensational? Study all night. We forget this other knowledge, right? Thing that my friends and I, we composed at our final year valedictory function. It's a song that is inspired by the song by Terry Jacks, Seasons in the Sun. Oh no, I won't sing it. I want you to remain in the audience while I'm here. So I'll share the lines with you. The SEMs have come and SEMs have gone. We graduated from late nights to early dawn. Slogging for exams through the night. Hopes of cracking it all right. Coming back a sorry sight. We had joy, we had fun. And our 4 years are all done. Real life's come along. Now that our SEMs are all gone. So we did this. So now that brings me to the crux of what I want to share with you is in real life, what are formulae for? We're talking about real life that we came to after our 4 years were done. Not that the 4 years were not real life. They are a real life for the students. They're a part of what you have experienced over here. But there's another part of real life that comes along, which we were alluding to in our valedictory function. So now, what in real life formulae are for everything. What I mean by everything? Education, career, even a holiday. Everything is run by a formula that we have in our head. How that comes to our head is what I'm going to talk about. Let's take a formula for a career. What are the benchmarks for a career? Money, fame, power, satisfaction, and fun. Oops. We are brainwashed by what we are told around us, by people around us. Okay? And this career that we're talking about begins with a mega job. So then we talk about the path to a mega job. The path to this mega job is through some mega college, right? And we go through this mega college, and this mega college is a mega college by reputation, right? So now you look for a formulae for this mega college. And this mega college's formula is in everybody's textbook. And because it is in everybody's textbook, what we have is that we have so many aspirants for a very limited set of resources, right? And if it's in everybody's textbook, there are so many aspirants, the chances of getting in has become a lottery. It becomes a lottery, not that the person who gets in is only lucky. Let's say you slogged in, you're smart, you have put in a lot of effort, number of years you put in. All you are doing is increasing your chances of winning a lottery by buying many, many lottery tickets. But no matter how hard you try, you cannot win all the lottery tickets. That all lottery tickets is your performance on that day of the exam. Okay? But this formula is a starting point. Let's not belittle what this comes from. But let us not blow it out of proportion either. This formula is a starting point. Winning is great in this game. But not winning is not a loss. Not winning is not defined, is what we'll come to. This not winning is not defined. Because formulae for an education and a career are based on textbooks. What I mean by textbooks is what society has written for us. Textbooks that are written by somebody else. Even in any textbook that you read as a student, they're always written by somebody else. You don't write textbooks. You don't write your own textbooks. Somebody else writes them for you. Right? So, for this exam, supposing what I'm trying to come up with now is, you have got this exam, you have written this exam, you try to get to this mega college, you may or may not have gotten. But here is the message, one message. Your best effort for the exam does not guarantee that you will get to this best college. If you don't get to the best college, does not mean you will not have a best career. And getting into the best college does not mean that you will have a best career either. That is a strong message that is missing from the society. It's not available to the society. Society does not choose to receive such a message. I'll give you one example. This will be through a metaphor of cricket or our India's cricket history. We celebrate the 1983 World Cup cricket win over the West Indies, but the point is they continued to dominate world cricket even after losing the World Cup. India took some time to build, based on that World Cup win, build themselves as a cricketing country. West Indies, in fact, what we hide from what is not there in our pleasant memory is that West Indies told India immediately after the World Cup loss, and they thrashed us in tests and in one days. They dominated world cricket even though they had lost that World Cup. So your West Indies overcame that disappointment of that instant and continue to dominate. That is one message I want from you. They remained successful. Today, India wins many games in cricket. India dominates world cricket and has been doing that for several years now. But we have won very few World Cups. An example is the IPL winners of 2008, Rajasthan Royals. You'll be surprised to know that they had spent the minimum amount on that for buying that team. They spent half the amount that the most expensive team was. They won the first World Cup, first IPL trophy, but in later years, it was the other teams that had very strong players as well that won. So, here's another idea. You have to be careful. The textbook exam, the formulae that you get from a textbook, you have to make sure that what you have is not just for one exam. You are going to have a lifelong of exams and adventures. Right? And that is why it is not just that one exam that matters. It is not just that one set of formulae that matters, that you got from a textbook, because that textbook is always written by somebody else. It is a good starting point. But from the starting point, you have to be careful that you never make someone else's best the enemy of your good. Now, as we will go along, it appears good, but actually it is also your best. And I'll explain why that happens. Because in any formula, you always need to make corrections. What do I mean by corrections? I'll give you an example of my field of chemical engineering. We have many courses. Each of those courses has many formulae, right? These formulae are unavoidable starting points. You always need to make corrections to that formulae when you are doing some things like designing the plant, when you put all those formulae together to design a plant. Because in this plant, you need to get a product out. You need to make thumb rule real life corrections. These corrections have to account for the fact that you may not, maybe the technology or the formulae are developed based on what is happening in the Western countries. You have developed a plant based on formulae based on Western countries. You need India specific. You need region specific because of you need supply chain specific corrections to the formulae. There are many real life factors that come in. You need to then add runtime corrections after all these formulae. Why do you need so many corrections? Weren't formulae made or devised based on observations also? Why do you need corrections? Because one thing that we again miss is each formula that was devised was based on addressing one factor or a very few factors. In real life applications, we have several simultaneously occurring factors. And so, we need to address each of them individually and together simultaneously for the plant to produce the best product or for you to find your best options. So, when you have the original formula that is devised by somebody else, you make your own corrections. The formulae are for a purpose. They are not the purpose. So you make your own corrections for yourself. What could they be? It could be for following some realistic dreams. Or it could be following some passionate dreams. Your corrections, I'm going to now give a metaphor for your corrections. It's your creation. And these are some lines that I put together some years ago. I'm going to share them with you. They are, the first part is, you may have something imperfect. But even Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Kalidas and Keats underachieved their performance with their feats. So create if you will, for your own purpose, your own enjoyment. Never mind the other's entertainment. If they get it, it's their bonus. To appreciate you or to behold beauty is the beholder's onus. So give your best. There is no compromise on effort. I'm not advocating compromising your efforts. You have to give your best. You will then be asked this as this TEDx's TEDx motto is, okay, celebrate the cracks in the canvas. That is an alternative perspective. Given the best effort by the artist. The cracks in the canvas, the theme does not say artist does not give their best. The artist gives their best. Let me put it another perspective. You aim for perfection, but accept excellence. Now, two people have said this. I found this. Vince Lombardi, who was a football coach, American football coach in the 60s, and even J.R.D. Tata has said the same thing. So this is a tall order. You give your best, but still accept your failure, or celebrate your failure. It's human to be disappointed with failure. It's human to be absolutely disappointed with failure. So what I'm going to put to you is not a solution for that. Okay? That despite your best effort, there will be disappointments. But I'm going to relate a little subplot from the movie Ship of Theseus. In that, there's a story of this hero, this protagonist, who is taking care of his grandmother in a hospital. And he hears a scream and he finds that there is some inmate whose kidney has been stolen. So he chases, he tracks down the people who have done it. He goes to an affluent foreign country, finds a recipient of this kidney. The person meets them because he sees that they are coming representing the donor. But when the hero confronts him, that says that it's been stolen, this recipient says, no, that's not true, because he was informed that the donor was compensated. After that, the recipient refuses to meet this hero. Frustrated, he comes back to India. He locates the victim in a slum. The victim has been avoiding him. Finally, he locates him and says, no, I'll help you get your justice. The victim says, please don't involve me anymore. I don't want any justice. I got 5-6 lakhs rupees now. I don't want to deal with it anymore. Please leave me alone. This guy goes back to his grandmother at the hospital, frustrated, and his grandmother, the story ends with his grandmother saying, "Itna hi hota hai." Okay? So, this for me is a parable. This for me is a parable because it's a very simple idea that many people miss. To get only itna, you need to really put in a lot of effort. Itna hi hota hai doesn't mean that you don't put in the effort. To even achieve this much, you have to put in that effort. Okay? There is 2 lines on disappointment from one of my poems that I've come across. It's If by Rudyard Kipling. And the lines go, if you can meet triumph and disaster and treat those 2 imposters just the same. He's basically telling you is you do this. Okay? If you can meet triumph and disaster and treat these 2 imposters just the same. But in this world of formulae, triumph and disaster are just not the same. So we need, as human beings, and the opposite perspective, what we would need to do is find your own common ground. Each one has their own common ground. We have our own common ground. That means I'm not going to say what our common ground is, but what I'm going to share with you is what we should consider when looking for our common ground. And here, I'm going to quote another favorite poem of mine. It is on the wall in my home. It's this poster of a wall in my home. And this particular thing, I can tell you, I'm working a little harder to practice what I'm preaching over here because I've got this closer to home, closer to me. It's the poem Desiderata by Max Ehrmann. The lines go like this. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe. No less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. So this brings me to my conclusion. You begin with a textbook formulae. Make your own modification for your own goals. Give your best. But remember, it's not just one adventure or exam. You will find triumph and disaster. But remember, like everyone else, you have a right to be here. Thank you.